The Ultimate Guide to Essay Writing. Introduction. An essay is a piece of writing on a particular subject. In English class, essays are written to show your understanding and analysis of studied texts by identifying, examining, and drawing conclusions about their features or components and how these affect reader response. We might be required to write essays on novels, short stories, movies, documentaries, graphic novels, or a range of other texts. These analytical essays should develop an argument in response to a set question or consider or advance an interpretation of the studied text. The following slides will outline the various steps you will need to take along with some handy hints to help you plan, draft and write essays in secondary school. Learning objectives. First, reconstruct an essay question, identifying keywords and making notes about how they apply to a studied text. Second, create a brief essay plan by writing a clear thesis statement and 3 subpoints and selecting relevant examples to support. And third, draft an introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion, following the essay structure provided and using essay writing vocabulary. Planning your essay. Essay planning is very important. It ensures that you understand the question and have a clear line of argument and relevant examples to support your analysis. Deconstruct question. Before you begin planning your essay, it's super important that you understand the question and how you are to address it effectively. Start by identifying and defining the 4 main types of words in your essay question. The definitions are below and an example has been done for you on the next slide. Command words. The words that provide the instruction as to what kind of skill you need to apply in the question. Examples are analyze, discuss, explain, explore, and describe. Concept words. The words that refer to specific concepts from the syllabus that will be examined in the question. Examples are representation, context, values, and attitudes. Condition words. The words that refer to the parameters placed on you that influence the way you respond to the question. Examples. With reference to texts, and/or, and visual text. Critical words. The words that help refine your response and add nuance. They distinguish strong responses from weaker ones. Examples are a central idea, a dominant attitude, and a controversial issue. For example, discuss how generic conventions have been used to position your response to themes in a studied text. Command words. Discuss, identify issues, and provide points for and or against. Condition words. A studied text means it must be a text that we have studied in English class. Concept words. Generic conventions, the features shown by texts that allow them to be put into a specific genre. Since the text is a novel, these are things like characterization, setting, plot structure, point of view, symbolism, etc. Theme and idea, concern or argument developed in a text, usually stated as an idea about human experience. Critical words. Position, intentionally influence, affect, manipulate or form. Your response, a reaction to something. This might be an emotional response, feeling a certain way, or an intellectual response, thinking, questioning or understanding something. Plan your response. Once you have defined these key terms and understood what the question is asking, you should create a second brainstorm identifying how this applies to your studied text specifically. Start with your concept words, for example. The themes explored in my studied text include bravery, growing up, and dysfunctional family relationships. Remember to shape these into theme statements or ideas to be more specific, Some generic conventions that could be discussed are characterization, setting and plot structure. Start to name these specifically and make brief notes about how they are constructed. Consider the best 3 examples that you might focus on for your 3 body paragraphs. Once you have a clear understanding about how you plan to approach the question, it's time to write your thesis statement. Write thesis statement. A thesis statement is one sentence that encompasses your main argument or stance in regards to the essay question. It should use the keywords from the question to anchor your analysis. If your essay question was discuss how generic conventions have been used to position your response to themes in a studied text, your thesis statement might be the novel uses generic conventions of characterization, setting and plot structure to position an audience to understand the themes of bravery, growing up and dysfunctional family relationships by conveying the idea that the journey from childhood to adolescence often involves changing ideas about oneself and the people around us. A good way to make sure you have done this is to highlight or color code the keywords in your thesis statement. Once you have a clear overall argument, you can start to form your subpoints. Plan your subpoints. The next step is breaking down your thesis statement into 3 smaller ideas that you can work to prove through each body paragraph. Your subpoints will become the topic sentences for your 3 body paragraphs. Each subpoint should include the keywords from the question to anchor your response as well as specific textual features you will discuss in order to support your analysis. You can start to consider the bigger features of the text. If it's a novel, this might include narrative conventions, or the smaller features. If it's a novel, this might include language and stylistic devices. It might not be necessary to have all your direct quotes and examples ready yet, but you should have a general idea of what textual features you are going to discuss. An example has been done for you on the next slide. For example, the novel uses generic conventions of characterization, setting and plot structure to position an audience to understand the themes of bravery, growing up and dysfunctional family relationships by conveying the idea that the journey from childhood to adolescence often involves changing ideas about oneself and the people around us. 1. The author utilizes the prologue of the novel to introduce the point of view and perspective of the protagonist and narrator to explore the theme of growing up. Through his construction, an audience is positioned to understand the idea that coming of age often involves losing one's innocence in order to gain a more complex understanding of the world. 2. In addition, the characterization of the protagonist and the setting of his hometown have been used to encourage the reader to consider the theme of bravery by exploring the idea that it takes courage to stand up and be different in a closed, insular country community. 3. Finally, the plot structure features of climax and resolution position an audience to understand the theme of dysfunctional family relationships by considering the idea that leaving one's toxic biological family can be a necessary decision to preserve an individual's well-being. Select examples. Lastly, you will need to select direct and explicit examples from the text to illustrate each of your subpoints. Always try to use direct quotes instead of paraphrasing examples if you want to achieve a high mark. Dot points or brief notes are fine for this stage of your planning. Make sure direct quotes are exact and accurate. Write them exactly as they are in the text. Remember, shorter quotes are easier to embed into a sentence. You can use ellipses to cut out the middle of a quote or square brackets to change a word or two if you need to. Record page numbers as you go just in case you need to find the quote again. Once you have finished recording your examples, it's time to start drafting our essay. The following slides will outline the structure for writing an introduction, body paragraphs, and a conclusion. The introduction. The introduction serves as a map of your essay, outlining to the reader your main argument, thesis statement, and subpoints which you develop throughout your essay, contentions. Introduction structure. Global statement hook interest and lead into the essay by beginning with a sentence that is broad but interesting and relevant to your theme or topic. Introduce text. Give the title, author, date of publication, and a brief summary of what the text is about or any relevant contextual information. Thesis statement directly answers the essay question and provides an overview of the position you will be taking. Make sure to use keywords. Menu. Introduce the 3 specific contentions that your paragraphs will focus on or lead into the rest of your essay with a relevant statement. Writing global statements. The global statement is a technique used to grab attention and hook interest in the opening paragraph of an essay by beginning with an interesting sentence that introduces and leads towards the theme or purpose of your essay. It is not absolutely necessary to the structure of an introduction, as you can just begin by introducing your text instead. However, they can make you seem eloquent, knowledgeable, and creative as a writer, making your essay stand out from the rest. Many students struggle with where to start in terms of writing their global statement. We recommend the following. First, write your thesis statement first. It's important to know what your destination will be, i.e. the topic, theme or purpose you will need to lead into. Second, identify the main topic from your thesis and go up one step in terms of broadness. What category does it fall into? For example, are you writing about a theme, characters, context, genre, etc.? Third, write a statement that is broad enough to introduce the topic and give some context. Then, you can narrow down towards your argument. If you're still stuck with ideas, here are some suggestions. You could begin your essay by focusing your global statement around context. The context of production or reception of the text, something about the time it was written or produced. Theme. The theme, something to do with the key ideas about people, society, or the world that are explored in the text. Genre. The genre, something to do with the category of text or our expectations of the genre. Purpose. A broader quote about the purpose or power of literature, novels, film, documentaries, etc. Quote. A famous quote about something relevant to the theme or even a quote from the text itself. The body paragraphs. Each body paragraph of the essay will present an aspect of the construction of the text that conveys the main ideas to the reader. Each paragraph should be able to stand by itself, as well as being part of your overall discussion. Body paragraph structure. Topic sentence and developing sentence. Outline the main idea of the paragraph and clearly address the question and/or support your thesis statement by using keywords. If you can't fit this into one sentence, a second developing sentence can be used to give further context or be used as a lead into your first example. Evidence. Give explicit examples from the text, direct quotes, examples of visual or film codes, etc. Make sure you name the technique being used. You should aim to include between 2 to 4 pieces of evidence, depending on essay length and text type. Explanation. Provide an explanation of the effect of your example, how it conveys ideas or positions audience response. Make sure you consider the key concepts you need to address. Linking statement. Acts as an anchor to tie your argument back to the thesis statement or the idea in your topic sentence. Use keywords. Writing body paragraphs. There are a few other considerations when planning and drafting your body paragraphs. For example, 1. Consider the most effective order when arranging your paragraphs so they support your argument. Usually, you would order your paragraphs with your strongest contention first and your weakest one last. 2. Another way to order your paragraphs is around the development of the theme or ideas in the text. For this, you would start with the earliest event or idea in the studied text and finish with the latest. 3. Practice timed writing at home to make sure your plan is achievable under timed conditions. You will usually have an hour to write your essay, so each paragraph should take 10 to 12 minutes. The conclusion. It reiterates the main idea or argument in a slightly different way. It reflects on the essay and the evidence you provided to prove your thesis and wraps up your discussion in an effective manner. Conclusion structure. Topic sentence. Restate your thesis statement in a slightly different way. Elaborative sentences. Provide a brief summary of the evidence you provided through your 3 subpoints in support of your thesis. Round off. Give your last thought or comment that links back to your overall topic or purpose. Sums up your discussion by leaving a lasting impression on your reader. Essay writing vocabulary. To be a good writer and have the capacity to express your thoughts clearly, you need a bank of verbs, connectives, and phrases to use to help you vary your language and be precise when analyzing a text. Analytical verbs. Different verbs have different meanings or suggest different relationships between authors, readers, characters, and ideas. These can be used in thesis statements, topic sentences, and explanations. Consider the following. Affirms, condones, endorses, supports, compels, advocates, promotes, compares, contrasts. Explores, interrogates, questions, scrutinizes, defines, illustrates, conveys, represents, portrays. Commends, considers, presents, suggests, includes, reveals, produces, indicates, states. Critiques, challenges, condemns, rejects, contests, attacks, argues, disrupts, and justifies. Connectives. Connectives are words we use in between sentences to join them. They allow us to be more precise about the relationships between statements. Different phrases and words serve different purposes in connecting ideas and arguments. Adding an idea. Examples are additionally, and, also, apart from this, as well, as, in addition, moreover, further, furthermore. Emphasizing an idea. Examples are again, in fact, interestingly, indeed, it should be noted, more importantly, most importantly, to repeat, fortunately, unfortunately, unquestionably. To indicate a sequence. Examples are firstly, secondly, thirdly, next, before, earlier, finally, following, given the above, later, meanwhile, subsequently, then, to conclude, while. To compare. Examples are correspondingly, equally, for the same reason, in a similar manner, in comparison, in the same way, on the one hand, similarly. To contrast. Examples are alternatively, although, but, conversely, despite, even so, even though, however, in contrast, in spite of, instead, on the contrary, nevertheless, nonetheless, on the other hand, rather, still, though, yet, whereas, while. To illustrate an example. Examples are a further instance of this is, an example of this is, for example, for instance, such as, thus, as follows. To restate ideas. Examples are In other words, more simply, namely, simply put, to put it differently another way, such as, that is. To explain cause or effect. Examples are the consequence of, because, due to, for, the effect of, since, the result of, accordingly, as a result, consequently, for this reason, hence, so, therefore, thus. Audience positioning. When discussing audience, you can also use the words reader or viewer. Here are some alternate ways to discuss audience positioning. Prompts the audience to, allows the audience to, elicits the audience's sense of, motivates the audience to, activates feelings of, invites the audience, encourages the audience, confronts audience with, provokes strong feelings of, compels the audience to, deters the audience from, taunts the audience's, scares the audience into, dares the audience to, forces the audience to, scorns the audience's, pressures audience to, challenges an audience to, incites the audience's sense of, questions the audience's, discourages the audience from, inflames the audience's, rouses the audience's sense of, goads the audience, warns the audience of, ridicules the audience's, mocks the audience's, contests the audience's, undermines the audience's, reminds the audience of. Today's lesson observation. Essay writing skills will be something that students develop and refine throughout secondary school. Although this video can be used as a guide to get you started, you might change or alter your approach depending on a number of factors. Make sure you check with your teacher about specific styles, conditions, or parameters that may influence the way you plan or write. Good luck and let's get analyzing. In case you have a particular topic that you would like us to discuss in our videos, kindly inform us by leaving a comment in the comment box below. Thank you for watching. If you found my video interesting and informative, like, share and subscribe to my channel Manyata Insight Education for more engaging videos.